AITA for wanting to divorce my wife and leave her child after finding out I'm not the father? I, 32M, have been married to my wife, 32F, for 7 years. We have, or at least I thought we had, one child together, a beautiful 5-year-old girl who I've loved as my own since the day she was born. I truly thought my wife was the love of my life. You know the drill. We met in college, dated for a few years, and when we got married, I thought I hit the jackpot. But as life would have it, the last year or so has been tough. You know how they say the honeymoon phase doesn't last forever? Well, it's true. We had our ups and downs like any other couple, but somewhere along the line, we just lost that spark. We tried to work through it, and while things weren't perfect, I never thought we were anywhere near a breaking point. Despite everything, I still felt close to my wife and daughter. I was committed to making things work. Then came a night a few months ago that would blow up my entire life. My friend Jack, 32M, we've been friends since high school, called me out of the blue and asked if we could meet up. That in itself was weird because we hadn't hung out just the two of us in a while. We all used to be part of the same friend group, but life happened, and while we stayed in touch, it wasn't the same as before. Anyway, Jack insisted we meet, so I figured he was going through some shit and wanted to talk. I met him at this dingy bar we used to go to in our 20s, and when I got there, he was already a few drinks deep. He looked like hell. Eyes bloodshot, hair a mess, the whole 9 yards. It wasn't like him at all, so I figured something serious was going on. I asked if he was okay, and he just stared at his drink for what felt like forever before he blurted out, "I fucked up, man." Now, my first thought was he got into some kind of trouble, maybe gambling debts or something stupid. I wasn't ready for what came next. He looked me dead in the eyes, and it was like watching a man trying to claw his way out of his own skin. He tells me he's been sleeping with my wife for years. Not just a one-time mistake, but a full-on, years-long affair that started right after I got married. He even had the nerve to say he didn't know how to live with the guilt anymore. I swear, I've never felt anything like the rage that hit me in that moment. My vision went red. I wanted to beat the living shit out of him right there in that crappy bar. I tried to hold myself back, but my fists were shaking, and I was breathing like a goddamn bull. I couldn't help it. I ended up slapping him right across the face. Jack didn't even flinch. He just sat there, taking it like he knew he deserved it. I wanted to hit him again, but somehow I managed to hold back. I remember storming out of the bar, my mind racing, thinking about every little sign I had missed. It was like every fight, every cold shoulder, every lame excuse from my wife suddenly made sense. I was shaking so hard I couldn't even drive home right away. I had to pull over and just breathe, trying to figure out what the hell I was going to do. When I finally got home, I was ready to confront my wife. I walked in, and there she was, just sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone like it was any other night. I called her name, and she looked up, instantly knowing something was wrong. Maybe it was the look on my face or the fact that I slammed the door behind me, but she knew. She fucking knew. I asked her straight up if it was true, and she just broke down crying. She admitted to everything, how it started, why she kept it going. She said it was a mistake, that she was sorry, and begged me not to leave her. She was sobbing, holding onto my arms, but I felt nothing but disgust. I told her I was packing my stuff and heading to my parents' place, and that I wanted a paternity test. That was the moment that seemed to break her the most. She started screaming and crying even harder, saying it didn't matter, that I was the only father our daughter ever knew. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I had to know for sure. I packed my things in a daze, and the whole time, she was right behind me, sobbing and pleading. Our daughter was asleep in her room, completely unaware of the storm brewing just outside her door. I couldn't even look at her as I left. I drove to my parents' house, and I didn't even know what to say to them. I just showed up, bags in hand, and collapsed on their couch. My mom kept asking what was wrong, but I couldn't get the words out. All I could think about was the betrayal, the years of lies. The next few days were a blur. I managed to book a paternity test, and those were the longest days of my life. I was a mess. Couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I just kept thinking about all the moments I thought were ours, the first steps, the first words, all those sleepless nights, and wondering if they meant anything at all. My wife kept calling and texting, but I couldn't bring myself to respond. I just needed the results. And then they came. The results were exactly what I dreaded. I wasn't her father. I can't even describe the mix of rage and devastation that hit me. I felt like my entire world was ripped out from under me. I wanted to scream, punch a wall, do something, but all I could do was sit there and stare at the paper. That little girl who I thought was mine, it was all a lie. After finding out, I went back to the house one last time. My wife was there, waiting, eyes red from crying, still begging me to stay, to work things out. She tried to tell me I was her daughter's real father in every way that mattered, but I couldn't do it. I told her I wanted a divorce, that I couldn't stay in a marriage built on lies, and that I didn't want anything to do with her or the child. She flipped out, calling me every name in the book. She said I was heartless, that I was abandoning my child. But how could I raise a child that wasn't mine, a child that was a constant reminder of her betrayal? Every time I looked at that little girl, all I could see was the affair, the lies, the humiliation. I told my wife that I hope one day I could have a family of my own, a child that was actually mine. She kept crying, saying I was cruel and selfish. I moved out and started the divorce proceedings. My parents are supportive but confused. They adored my wife and thought she was perfect for me. They're struggling to understand how everything went so wrong. I haven't seen my wife or the child since, and I'm not sure I ever want to. The guilt eats at me, but so does the anger. I know she's just an innocent kid in all of this, but how can I be expected to raise someone else's child under these circumstances? It's been weeks now, and my wife keeps trying to reach out, telling me I'm abandoning my family. Even some friends are saying I should reconsider because it's not the kid's fault. But I can't. I just can't. So, Reddit, AITA for wanting to divorce my wife and leave her child behind after finding out I'm not the father?